Ms. Jacoby, both Professor Briggs and Mr. Krikorian have said there's no need for these low-skilled workers to come into this country. What is your answer to that?
In 1960, half of all American men dropped out of high school and went into the unskilled labor force. Half. Today, less than 10% of American men drop out of high school and want to do unskilled work. True, we could try to mechanize some of that work. True, we could allow some of that work, like farming, to go to other countries, but there's much of that work that we can't get rid of or can't not have done. We want our houses built. We want our food picked. We want our old people taken care of. And it doesn't make sense to pay Americans who are more educated than they need to be for those kind of jobs to do that kind of work. There's immigrants. Our workforce is soon going to not be growing. By 2015, the native-born workforce is going to be on the way to shrinking. If we don't have other workers to come and help keep the economy growing, we'll get to be an old, gray, sclerotic, bitter, not innovating society.
Professor Briggs, what's your answer to that?
I don't agree with that at all. I mean, this is a jobs issue. And the issue that Eric Severide many years ago said when immigration broke in the 1970s is an issue, he pointed out that this was going to be an issue that separates the men from the boys. And the idea that simply giving people amnesty is going to solve skill shortages is the wrong way to go about it. If we want to have an immigration system, there are things we can do through the front door to bring in more legal immigration. That's another issue. We're talking about pathway to citizenship for those who are at the bottom. And we have no shortage of low-income workers in the United States today, or any prospect of one.
So the jobs that Mr. Medina says wouldn't get done, what?
There's no such thing as jobs that won't get done. I mean, that's literally is economic gibberish. I mean, it is impossible for there to be such a thing. What would happen with fewer foreign workers? Now, mind you, we're not talking about all illegal immigrants in the workforce. There are about 7 million or so who have jobs, all of them tomorrow morning disappearing. We're talking about a process, not an event. And what would happen? Adam Smith told me what would happen. The market adapts by having employers respond in two ways. One, do more to recruit and retain workers who are legally here, American citizens and legal immigrant workers. This is better wages, better benefits, changing the way the work is done so it's easier to do. And this is no pipe dream. We have 3 times as many people who are native-born, high school or less, who are not even in the labor market as we have illegal immigrants in the labor market.
Why aren't they in the labor market?
For a variety of reasons. Some of them don't want to be in the labor market. Some of them do want to be in the labor market. And over the past few years, we've seen the labor force participation rate of low-skilled native-born workers go down consistently because of immigration. The other thing that employers do is they find ways of using the existing labor more efficiently. That may be mechanization, that may be changing the way the work is organized. That's what modern societies do, is they make labor progressively more productive rather than let it be less productive.
But why should a grower pay enough, raise and raise and raise his wages to get someone who's actually capable of working in a shop or working in a higher skilled job, pay him enough that he wants to work on a farm? Our workforce is more and more educated. We should create a society where people can be as productive as they can be, not create a situation where we have to pay them so much more that they come and do jobs for which they're overqualified. And you say Adam Smith taught me markets work. Why do markets work at one end for you but not work at the other end? You say there's no limit to the number of who would come. Yes, of course there's a limit. The market will limit who can come. If immigrants can't get work here, they won't. People don't come to be unemployed in America. It's cheaper to be unemployed at home. It's warmer. You have family there. People come to work. And the market will work if we let it.
That sounds good, but it doesn't work that way. When California had its worst recession since the Great Depression in the early 90s, immigration did not dissipate because being here unemployed is still better than being unemployed back home. And in a modern society with a social safety net and all the rest of it, there's simply there's no comparison between living in descending countries and living here.
Well, let me just tell you, it seems to me like you've never been an undocumented worker. First of all,
true,
there
I
is
have
no
it.
safety net for undocumented workers. They are not eligible for food stamps.
Their children
They're
are.
not. Only their children maybe if they're born in this country, but undocumented workers are not eligible for food stamps. They're not eligible for any of those benefits that people have when they are legally in this country. So they don't come here, as Tamar says, to just sit here unemployed because there's no way for them to survive. Now the problem that we're facing is not immigrants. What the problem that we're facing is illegal immigration. There is no way for people to come in a legal fashion to this country. There's no protections for the undocumented workers here. And so consequently, unless we create a system where they have the full protection of all our labor laws, what winds up happening is that unscrupulous employers are going to take advantage of them, and that has a negative impact on all workers.